going to go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining me. I wanted to come and do a follow-up to the live I did last week on how to tell if you're in a toxic relationship. I wanted to follow that up with what to do if you're in a toxic relationship. And I'm coming on last minute, but I wanted to get it out, and I literally have a few minutes before I have to run somewhere, and it's been that kind of week. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and jump on in. What to do if you find yourself in a toxic relationship? Well, first of all, I want you to know that when I'm talking about relationships tonight, I am talking about romantic relationships. And I also want to give the disclaimer that if you are in a married relationship, you have that covenant, you are husband and wife. Some of this may and may not apply to you. Again, you have to make those decisions. And also, I want to remind you that as a coach, it's my job to kind of give you the questions that you need to make the decisions that your heart knows that it wants to make, that your heart is ready to make, and maybe give you some tools and some tips. But it's not my job to tell you what to do for your life. That's your job. So I'm here to point out some things, give you some tools, give you something to think about so that you can live your best life. Let me introduce myself. I'm Ulisha Bundy, your Matters of the Heart coach, talking all things heart, love relationships, family relationships, self-worth, self-esteem issues, your relationship with God, all things relationship-wise, as we know that the issues of life flow from our heart. And so the matters of the heart are very important. So I'm thanking you for watching and taking the time to check this out. So what to do if you find yourself in a toxic relationship? The first thing, and I have 4 points, is 1, hold the other person accountable. Hold the other person accountable for their actions. I know sometimes we internalize everything. If someone that we're in a relationship with and it is indeed toxic, they may be telling you that they did things because you did something, that they did things to react to what you did, or maybe you weren't enough, or this, that, and the other. But the truth is, we do what we do because we choose to do it. Maybe we fall into temptation. We didn't take the way of escape, whatever it may be. So if someone else has done something in a relationship, hold them accountable. If they've done something to make the relationship toxic in some form or fashion, hold them accountable. Do not take that on yourself. Do not take that on. It is not you. And I want you to know, because I know sometimes we can hold on to things because we feel like, it's our fault, that we should have seen this coming. We should have recognized, we should have known, and those types of things. No, I want you to take time and forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. Maybe there were signs and you didn't notice them. Okay, but we're not going to live in condemnation. We are going to hold the other person accountable for what they have done. So that is my first thing. Hold the other person accountable. We're not taking any more blame. We're forgiving ourselves. Hey, we know what we know now. We're going to forgive ourselves and we're going to move on. All right, what to do if you find yourself in a toxic relationship? Point 2, you're going to stop convincing yourself to stay, and you're going to stop talking yourself out of leaving. Yes, let me say that again. You're going to stop convincing yourself to stay, and you're going to stop talking yourself out of leaving. It is amazing to me when I went through my process, and I continue to go through it, when I actually sit down with myself, when I sit down with myself, when I sit down with my heart, when I sit down with my soul, and I ask myself questions. It's amazing to me that I hold the answers inside. If I ask myself, why am I feeling sad today? Or why am I feeling down? Or why is this bothering me? Or why is that? Do you know, I really find the answers. I know, deep down, we know. And so if you know that you do not want to stay, if you know that you feel like it is time to leave a relationship alone, then you need to believe what your inner self, what your heart, what your inner man, your soul, what your spirit is saying. Stop talking yourself out of what your spirit is telling you that you need to do. Stop talking yourself out of what your heart is telling you you need to do. Stop talking yourself out of what your soul is telling you that you need to do. Do not try to convince yourself to stay. Do not try to talk yourself out of leaving. Instead, listen to that inner voice, listen to that your heart from the inside, and follow through. Follow through. No more convincing yourself. Honestly, in a healthy relationship, think about it. In a healthy relationship, a relationship that is not toxic, a healthy relationship with two people that have committed themselves to loving one another, they are not thinking about leaving. Yes, that person may do little things that may irritate them, this, that, and the other, but they're not thinking about leaving that relationship. So if you are pondering leaving the relationship to the point that you're spending time to convince yourself why you need to stay, then you really need to leave. You really need to leave. Listen to those voices inside. Listen to what your heart is telling you and stop trying to convince it otherwise. Point blank, period. Okay. What to do if you find yourself in a toxic relationship? Point 3. Stop fearing being alone. We have to get over that. Stop fearing singleness. Stop fearing letting someone go because you feel like there will never be another person. We got to stop that. We have to get over that. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how much that was a, deciding factor in me staying in the toxic relationships that I was in. And really, I had to deal with my own self-worth, my own self-esteem. And those are things that I could not deal with and build up while I was in a toxic relationship. I had to get out in order to do that. So I'm telling you, it is better to be alone than to be miserable. I promise. It's better to be alone than to be miserable. I know. I've been there. I was like, really, this is what I was fighting. I was fighting being single. I was fighting coming home, to a home, and being able to be quiet and watch what I want to watch and do what I want to do and not be worried about what someone else may or may not be doing that I don't know about, what secrets someone else is keeping or someone else saying things that put me down and things like that. Can I tell you how much peace it was being single and not having to deal with that? So if your fear is being alone and that's why you're staying in a toxic relationship, deal with that fear, get out of that relationship, work on yourself, build yourself up, and the right man will come along. And guess what? Even if he doesn't, you will be so content with yourself and your singleness, achieving your goals, fulfilling your purpose without that baggage of a toxic relationship that it will not even matter. That's the thing. It will not even matter. All right. Point number 4. We're quick tonight. Point number 4. What to do if you find yourself in a toxic relationship. Point number 4. Find out where you stand. Find out where you stand. We're not going to guess. We're not going to think that we know, that we're still on good terms. We're not going to think that we know that we're in a committed relationship and the other person is telling people that we're just their friend. We're not going to think that we're the main chick and we're the side chick. We're not doing any of that mess. Why? We hold too much value, too much worth. We are treasures and we're just not going to do it. So find out where you stand. If you're in a relationship and you don't know if it's a committed relationship, then ask. If you're in a relationship and you don't know if, it's been a long time and you don't know if this is leading to marriage, is this, what does the future lead to? Ask. Find out where you stand. Find out where you stand. And that needs to be in a face-to-face conversation. That's not a text message. That's not a long email. We're not writing any letters. No, we're sitting down face-to-face. We're looking that person in the eye and we're asking them, where do we stand? And then it's also about what do we do when we get that information, because the person's going to tell you. Now, they may or may not be honest with you, but again, this is a face-to-face conversation. So we're going to be asking and praying for discernment before we even sit down, and we're going to look them face-to-face and be open and be ready for a conversation. So we're going to be able to tell if that person kind of is not being honest. We're going to be able to look and see, the physical things that they're doing, the things that they're not saying, so to speak. And then what we're going to do is we're going to sit and see if we agree. At the end of this conversation, do you guys agree on where you stand? If there cannot be an agreement on where you stand in your relationship, then guess what? There probably is not a relationship, or it's a toxic relationship. If at the end of that conversation, the other person is angry because you asked, that's a sign you're in a toxic relationship and you need to leave it alone. If you guys cannot agree, if you thought that you guys were leading up to marriage and they plan to be single forever, they plan to be single forever, you need to realize that, accept that, and then you need to move on. So you need to find out if you don't agree. And if you do not agree, then you need to move on. If you do agree, not because you're settling, because we don't settle. If you do agree, then you can move forward. And one of the things I forgot, so I got to go back because I forgot this. And this is a big thing for me. It's kind of been my saying. It's something I've been applying to my life. And I know others have as well. And when we talk about these relationships, these toxic relationships, I want you to always, in your relationships, all types, raise the bar high. Raise it high before you enter relationships. If you're in one now, raise it high, push it higher, because what's going to happen is that person is going to rise up. That person is going to rise up to meet that standard, or they're either going to leave because your standard is too high. But that's okay because you kept that boundary up there. You put that standard up there. Don't you drop that measuring stick for anyone. And when you're convincing yourself of whether to leave a toxic relationship or not, I want you to know that being in a toxic relationship does not always mean that the other person is the issue. Let me say that again. If you're in a toxic relationship, it might not mean that the other person is the issue. Because guess what? When we have not taken time to heal, to process our previous relationships, our mama daddy issues, our issues with our relationship with Christ, when we have not taken the time to work out and deal with all those things, our own self-worth, our own self-love, our own self-esteem, sometimes we could be the reason the relationship is toxic. And so work on yourself. Work on yourself. And you may be finding that you're in a relationship and maybe someone has told you about their past. Maybe they've confided something in you and now, you're like, should I or should I not? I would say this. If you're struggling about whether you're in a toxic relationship, whether you're in a relationship that should continue and it's based on someone's past, then I'll say that's something that you may be able to work through and work with. Hey, we all have a past. And oftentimes because we're afraid of judgment from the other person, we will keep our past and we kind of reveal it little by little as we begin to trust that person more and more and become more and more vulnerable with them. And so if you're finding out something about a person's past and it might not be what you thought you wanted to deal with and it's, making you feel maybe some kind of way, remember it's the past. And by past, I mean pre-relationship with you. If it was the past, as far as I'm concerned, we can deal with the past because I have a past and I expect that you have one. I have skeletons in mine. If the closet opens, I promise things will fall out. I don't expect someone else to have a clean closet. However, if we are dealing with things that are in the present, since we got together, these things have been happening that are bothering me, that are hurting me, that I feel are toxic, that are pulling me down, or I'm acting out in a toxic manner, then it's something that we probably need to put aside, take some time to deal with ourselves. And you never know. Two people can come back together maybe, and they be stronger and better than ever. But sometimes, again, we need to separate in order to deal with the issues that we're having that are causing our relationship to be toxic. So I hope that this was a help to someone that's either watching it live or will catch the replay. I thank you for joining me on tonight. Again, I'm Ulisha Bundy, your Matters of the Heart coach. I have some resources if you need them, and I'm going to be adding some more the rest of the week and the weekend. I have an ebook on boundaries. You need to establish your boundaries in all your relationships, not just your romantic ones. That link is in my bio. It's available for download. It's only $11. I also have a whole teleclass and workbook for Forgive, Let It Go, and Move On. That link is also in my bio. Get it, download it. You need to add it to your collection. I believe it might be 27, 22. Actually, I can't remember exactly, but whatever it is, it's reasonable. It's for you, for your work, for your future. Get it, check it out. Again, I'm going to be coming with adding the teleclass that goes with that Boundaries ebook. That's going to be a package coming soon. And I have some other stuff coming out for you that I hope will help you in your journey. So have a great evening, and I will talk to you guys later. Thank you so much for joining me.